Hey folks, I'm Troy, I'm from Belfrost Studios, and we're going to be talking about Maxix Robotics 2. This is very exciting. There are a lot of things coming down the pipeline that we're going to discuss and kind of break things down just to kind of detail like what is happening currently with the October work that we're working on and what's coming in the pipeline. And let's get right to it. This is very exciting. So one of the main things we're kind of working on to improve from game one is Dot itself and the function of him. And when the player approached getting Dot in game one, they would show up in what we call as the team, the engineering room. They would just pull the lever and Dot would just drop out and you have Dot. And while that was a simple way to get Dot and a nice way to introduce him with just the posters on the wall and just the environment it was in, there were players that wanted to have more of a story behind Dot. So as you can see here, there's a lot more to this room. You can see him get printed, you can see him get pressed, software installed, painted, and the room that you're seeing here, this is very, very early access. In fact, a lot of the stuff in this room is going to be yanked out and it's not even going to be in here. So this is more so to show you like what is going on. The major differences we're going to see with the player in terms of customization and building off of the systems we have in game one and very much improving it. One of the things we're leaning into is we have way more creative control here. And because of that, it's a newer decade, new time period, newer factory, meaning we're not limited in what we can make. So we can make some very cool items in the environment and really stylized stuff that's really fun. So as you can see in this image, it's very, very different, and we're not going to spoil the surprise with this room, of course, but as you can see, like, the robotics and stuff in this factory are very outlandish and large, and it makes you wonder what is really happening with Maxix Robotics and what is different about this facility. Because Maxix Robotics in this time period has a very different brand, a very different approach, and the structure of everything is just honestly going to be terrifying and fun for the player to be able to get involved with what's going on here. And I want to reiterate, one of the main things that we want to have in this game is the ability to traverse and explore the factory. And that's going to be the main difference here, is taking the tram station and taking this tram and being able to choose as the player where you want to go. So you want to go and head to fabrication, get on the tram, put over to fabrication. You want to head over to assembly, you can get on the tram and head over to assembly. And you'll be able to have different challenges and puzzles in those areas that will affect your gameplay experience throughout the game. And we're even looking to slip in some Easter eggs and little hidden things here and there as we kind of progress as the player. That's one of the major things we're kind of going into. I know in terms of October, for the October preview, the hurdles we're kind of running into right now is just setting up a foundation, because this is very preliminary. As you can see here, like, the environment is cool, but there's very little programming that has been done at this point, and it's kind of backwards. Usually with game development, you do programming first, you figure out the systems, and then you get them involved. And that kind of comes into team composition and trying to figure out who's going to fit in the positions and have the time to get this work done. So that's what we're working on right now, is we are planning out the next 1 to 2 years of development of this game and figuring out, how do we approach this? How do we set up the environments? How do we set up the team to approach the programming and the elements in this environment to really make something amazing? And that's what we're working on right now, is the team composition. So a lot of stuff has been going into this. A lot of work has been trying to figure out exactly, as the player, where are we going to go from here? And as a developer, how do we want to approach things out? I know I'm the creative director. I'm having to learn a lot of new systems that I typically have not learned before. My background is graphic design and 3D modeling for environment art. And I'm going to be moving into learning 2D animation and trying to figure out how to approach the intro video, the Build-A-Dot room, the security, the save stations, and things like that. So there's a lot of things that are coming into this where we're trying to wrap our heads around. How do we approach this? How do we build the environment to suit Maxix Robotics 2? And I can't give away the title because the title is actually going to give away a semi-small spoiler to the game, but enough of a spoiler to where it's going to kind of change like how you're going to perceive the game. When you guys see where we're coming from with this, it's actually going to be really exciting. One of the things I'm thankfully able to announce now is there's going to be voice acting in the game. It's actually going to be a much more animated and robust environment, in the sense that the villains and the protagonists are going to have dialogue. So we are going to be opening up auditions for that here within the next month to 2 months, currently we are taking a look at the antagonist in the series. And the antagonist, we are concepting her and developing what she's going to look like. We've accidentally, and I use accidentally in air quotes, designed one of the other family members. And it was when we were approaching designing the antagonist of this game that we inadvertently had an idea for Sun that broke this character down and built him up in a way to where he's honestly terrifying. Most likely we're not going to see him in this game in a physical form, but there's going to be other attributes that you'll see him in, possibly digital, and we're going to be playing around with some of these ideas. But at the moment, we are prepping the look and structure of what these characters will look like, and that's going to feed into how they will sound. So at the moment, we're building the foundations, like I said. We're getting Build-A-Dot made, we're getting the tram figured out, and the layout of the game itself and the team foundation set up. Once we have a good foundation of that, then we're going to move into getting the voice actor figure out and say, hey, let's see if we'll fit you into this role for female A, female B, the antagonist, and 2 other male characters that are going to be fitting into the environment. We can't divulge who those characters are yet, and we're going to make a more formal announcement soon. But for those following along, that's what's coming down the pipeline, that's what we're developing, and it's really exciting to be able to debut this all to everyone because there's so much stuff going into this. There's so many creative energies and stuff involved that it's been a great time to concept this stuff out. And this, from my perspective, we're working on this project, and you guys can even see in the screenshots if you've played the first game, the scope of what we're doing in this is much larger compared to what I would call a typical indie game, and what I would say in contrast to our first game. For those that played our first game, it was very fun and puzzle oriented, and that's still going to be the drive of this game. However, one of the big things that you guys are going to be seeing within Game 2 is the ability to uncover story aspects and lore aspects a little bit more dynamically and having an actual driven story instead of a story that's more so player discovery within the environment and environmental storytelling. And while there definitely is going to be an environmental storytelling approach, the main goal of what the end result is going to be is more so going to be kind of a mix between the two, where you have environmental storytelling and you have the character-driven storytelling of them progressing through the various stages of the game and get where we are as the player to the end. It's really fun. There's been a lot of changes we've gone through with this. I know the antagonist, she has gone through so many different variations at this point that, you know, and with most game development, there's a lot. So in terms of how other games to it, it's actually quite minute in size of the variations we've done compared to other games, because we thankfully have some good reference images from game 1 and ideas of where we want to take the antagonist and other characters of the game to be able to mold it to where we want to go. Now, for those that are waiting for the DLC/title update for Game 1, we still are trying to work on that. We ran into some issues within the team. We're trying to get a hold of some of those people so we can try to get that stuff done. Once we do get that done, that update's going to go out. You'll be able to see what's going on. In fact, that update is going to lead directly into Game 2. So a lot of the people that said, hey, the ending kind of feels a little odd, well, there's a reason to that, because the ending of the main game and the ending to, I would call it a DLC, but the hard mode update we're planning on rolling out is very much involved with the story that we're wanting to tell. The focus is kind of a blend between getting Game 2 done with this new team that we're working with and wrapping up the final parts of the hard mode. The hard mode level is made, the hard mode level is there, we just need to tie in the right pieces so that way that can be available for everyone. But anyway, that's the October update. Hopefully you guys can see what we're kind of working on and a lot of the hurdles we're kind of running into. Mostly just foundational work. We're getting this stuff done. We're getting this stuff figured out. Once it's done and figured out, we'll be able to open stuff up more, get more trailers out to you guys, and reveal the official name of Maxix 2 here soon. And that's going to be exciting. So thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you guys in the next video.